Check, 1, 2, 3. We're live. I'm Glenn, City Valley Fishing Field Team. Well, wait, I made a mistake. It's the Real Cast Fishing Podcast, and I'm your host. So let me flip-flop. Hey, live, unedited. You get the full Monty here. So normally I'll have some music going. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Welcome back to Real Cast Fishing. Your host, Glenn, with the City Valley Fishing Field Team, COAF Field Team on YouTube. And this round, what do we got for you? We're talking about the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing, specifically tips 126 to 130. And then after that, I wanted to show you the fly that I was using the other day. It's a damsel fly with a wider gap hook. That, seemed to be the go-to fly when it came to fishing some of these local ponds. So let's see if we can get started here shortly. I don't think anybody's on yet, so I can kind of just play around right now. Wait for some folks to join. Let me go and say howdy. And oh, by the way, I also simulcast this afterwards. I guess follow this with a audio version where I post on our podcast, realcastfishing.net. All right. So I said howdy. We'll just wait for some folk to join. I know it's like 12:30, a little bit late in the day to be hanging out, or early in the day to be hanging out talking fishing related stuff versus fly tying and fly fishing. All right. Okay. Let me go ahead and get started. Oh, looks like we have somebody on. I know I did this impromptu, so I'm not sure we're going to have a lot of folks joining. But I really just wanted to get the word out, as well as get caught up on the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing, and then follow with a fly tying demo. All right. And in that demo, what I wanted to show was this particular fly that was working well for yours truly. All right. And the plan is I'll be going through tips 126, 127, 128, 129, and 130 in the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing. And then from there, we'll shift over to right here. This baby here, where I'll start off with talking about tying a certain fly. Okay. Let's go and shift back again. All right. Looks like we got some folks joining. Haven't really started yet. Mainly waiting for some folks to join. It looks like I did this impromptu. Two reasons. One, I need to get caught up on some of these tips that we've been normally going through. I've been kind of shifting over to a lot of the mobile fishing live stream that I've been doing at these local ponds. And then also there was one ask about showing y'all how to make one of these flies, the damsel fly, one in particular that I used to catch several bass. Unfortunately, I did lose them, so bummer. I had to, make some adjustments. Okay. All right. So again, the format, we'll go through the tips. They're short tips this round, so 126 to 130 out of the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing. And while we're there, maybe any engagement you guys want to talk about those particular tips, go ahead and throw that out there. It's just right out of the book. I just read it off of my Kindle reader. And then from there, I'll walk you through the damsel fly tie. I was trying to do it live, but it turned out, I guess the logistics of it all, I needed to just basically do a quick one-shot demo video, and then I'll just talk about it. And hopefully if I need a pause or whatnot during that demo, I can speak to what I'm doing there if any questions come up. All right. And then I do have this rewind capability. All right. Okay. So let's go right into the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing. Okay, and this is tips 126 through 1230. Alrighty, and let's go ahead and start. Okay, what the Bass Boys taught me. It's funny how anglers like to embrace their own brand of fishing as high art and dismiss the others. Bass anglers may shun the fly rod as a buggy whip, while fly anglers may think of bass fishing as bubba fishing. Both are wrong. Fishing is fishing. Ultimately, what separates the contenders from the pretenders is the ability to read water. And that starts with understanding currents. Then know what the fish are eating and how to present it to them. It's all essentially the same. The only difference is the stick used to make the casts, and it's not worth making a big deal over. Having attention to detail, or having written about fish with number of bass pros, I'm always amazed to find out how many of them have at one point or another fly fish. In fact, I pick up some of the best fly fishing ideas when I'm bass fishing with these guys. Gary Klein, who was qualified for the Bassmaster Classic 28 times and is still rolling, credits fly fishing in part with his understanding of currents, structure, and how fish behave. Once you understand how moving water behaves and creates currents, you learn where the fish concentrate in the water and that's the same whether you're throwing crankbaits around a wind-blowing point on a reservoir or a dry fly in a river. All right. Yeah. Good stuff. All right. So, bottom line, bass fishing, fly fishing, got to know where the currents and reading the water, it's still important. It's just the method of stick that you're using to present your offering, be it a fly or a crankbait. Well, that's up in the air, but bottom line, you read water, suggestion says you can still fish it, be it fly fishing and whatnot. All right, let's go to 127. Everybody got to be somewhere rather than being discouraged by the rush or runoff. Smart anglers realize that all raging water has ruined their fishing opportunity. Instead, the action zone has simply been moved someplace else. Most often, that someplace becomes a soft water formed by nooks and crannies near shore. You'll recognize them as slow waters or eddies behind rocks near the bank. During runoff, nearly every place where the current slows down markedly will hold trout. To take advantage, an angler should be prepared to walk a good distance along the stream, skipping from one likely holding place to the next. This requires a certain amount of effort, but it does bring across at a time when there otherwise might be no fishing at all. So everybody's got to be somewhere. All right, that's a good one to take away from, because I know at some instances there'll be some stretches of water, ponds, waters, rivers, and whatnot that really get clobbered with a lot of folks fishing it. And I think I picked this up from one of the fishing guides from way back. Had mentioned when he's fishing a particular river that sometimes it's just best, instead of moving about, is just to sit in one spot and just work it well. And so I would just say everybody's got to be somewhere. There's going to be a lot of people on the river or wherever you are fishing, but eventually if you just kind of camp out and sit that one area and fish it well, those fish will come to you at some point. I think that's what they're trying to take away with that particular tip. And again, that one is everybody's got to be somewhere. All right, 128. Look before you leap or cast. In places with little angler traffic, trout often hold surprisingly close to shore. This is particularly true during the emergence of damselflies or stoneflies, two species that swim to land or to streamside objects on their way to becoming winged adults. At other times, trout choose the shallows as a refuge from strong currents. Most anglers make the mistake of casting across or wading through these places to reach more obvious holding places farther out in the stream. Take a few seconds to examine this close water for evidence of trout. So I would say that also holds true, be it bass fishing a pond. I've seen that a lot lately when I've been working some of the local ponds here. A lot of the fish are right there, 4 to 6 foot, near the bank, sometimes running along the shallows chasing the bait fish. And so, yeah, look before you leap, before you cast. Well, you may be casting far out or past where the fish are, and you're not going to get a bite. And so I would say with this particular tip, I think that works not just fly fishing, it also works for in general any fishing. Look before you cast. Watch what's in front of you. You'll be surprised what may be lurking at your feet. All right? Okay, tip 129. A breath of fresh air. When summer doldrums raise water temperatures, don't expect to find trout in the same deep pools. They might have occupied earlier in the season. Warm water holds less oxygen, causing fish to seek those places where the mixing of air and water dramatically raise the percentage of dissolved oxygen. At such times, look for them instead in fast water riffles or below spills, especially during the hottest parts of the day. These whitewater pockets may seem shallow or small, but they provide the essential elements a trout needs to breathe. Okay, all right, okay. I'm good with that. Let's see it again. A breath of fresh air. So they may not be in the deep pools. They could be where all that water and bubbly activity is. So, hey, keep that one in your back pocket. All right. Okay, tip 130. The plot thickens or not. Every click on a suspense thriller. No, let's do that again. Ever click on a suspense thriller well past the midway point and try to figure things out without peeking at the program guide? This happens to fly fishermen all the time. We arrive to the excitement of trout rising, but are puzzled by complicated plot formed by more than one type of insect on the water, the equivalent of a clever director's ploy to complicate the storyline. We also might guess the insect incorrectly, but miss the stage at which the activity is occurring. With fly fishing, it's important to gather as many clues as possible before wading in. It helps to develop an understanding of insect behavior in trout rise forms. All this confusion can be eased by knowing the hatch schedule, so you can arrive ahead of time and catch the drama from the very beginning. Smart anglers put these timetables in their heads or even compile hatch charts for their favorite streams. Think of this as an angler's version of the TV guide. Tune in and you'll know much of the plot ahead of time. Okay, that was the last one out of this tip, or out of the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing. And one thing that I do say on that last one about the plot thickens, there are some fishing guides I know that keep a hatch schedule for their particular river that they guide. And they know pretty close to when that time of year, that time of day, when a particular hatch will start. Bear with me here. This is old school stuff here, so I gotta manually turn things on and off at times. Okay, so keep that in your back pocket. That a lot of times these hatches and these patterns are reoccurring. I know when they used to stock the Frisco Commons pond with trout instead of the Warren Sports Complex that they do now, when it was held there just consistently, it's February time frame. I'd say around 5-6 o'clock when the sun starts setting. This hatch would happen consistently every year, and it'd either be this, it's always a small little midge-like thing flying, hatching and whatnot, but it was really the color, the size and the color. So a black little midge, a cream sulfur looking one in some cases. You just got to play it by ear, and it just seemed consistently happen over the course of fishing that particular location. Like year in, year out, it just seemed to happen. Okay, so that was tips 126 through 130 out of Little Red Book of Fly Fishing. Now we're going to shift over to the fly tying demo piece, and let's see if I can walk you through what I did here. And then if I can find the video, I think I live streamed it the other day. You can get a feel for how I fish this particular fly. But for now, I'm just going to walk you through this, okay? All right, so from a hook standpoint, I'm using a Montana Fly Company. It's one of those bead head ones, okay? You actually are supposed to put a bead head, and it's slotted, and it'll slide in there. And the reason why I'm using this, and I kind of by accident, I went ahead and just used this one because it's all I had. I was looking for an actual wider gap hook, and this is the only one I had in the hook box. All right, and from a thread standpoint, fly tying thread, I'm using a fluorescent red, orange, or fluorescent orange in 70 denier. And other than that, I have a bead chain, same one that you would use, I guess when you pull the little latch or whatever that you use to turn your fan on. All right. Okay. So here I'm using that thread. Okay. And I'll lay a base. All right. And just for every standard tie. And this one you can tie fairly quickly. In fact, I'm doing this real time. It's just running the video. I won't even stop it unless we have any questions. All right. So I'm taking the thread along the hook shank. I'm stopping about a dumbbell bead chain distance. And there's that beads that I use. Bead chain. And I snapped off a couple. And I'm taking that length of that bead, and then I'm going to tie it on to the hook shank, like so. Initially, I'll just kind of tie it on just to get it in place, and then I'll do a figure 8 tie. And then at some point, I may pull or push on it until I have it even. Looks like it's even already. Okay. And then, similar to a Clouser minnow, I'll start setting up the next tie, which is going to be one of 2 plumes, marabou plumes. One's going to be larger than the other. I'll take the smaller and I'll just kind of set it above the bead chain and above the hook chain. I'll do a loose tie it in behind the bead chain. All right. And then taking the thread underneath the hook and the bead and the feather, I'll start securing it ahead of the bead chain, and I'll stay ahead of the bead chain for the remainder of the fly. Okay. All right, and already we're halfway there. That's how quick it is. All right. And then I'll snip it, tie it down a little bit more, and then I'll start trimming it just to get rid of some of the bulk. And here, one of the things that I've learned from tying over the years from some other fly tiers is, as long as you let your thread hang down and you only cut above, you won't cut your line. However, if you do cut your line, in this case, I end up pulling it off. I pulled too hard. I'll show you how to just continue tying so you don't lose anything. All right. And again, I'm tying this real time, haven't stopped it. It's just a very simple tie. Okay. All right. In my rotary vise, the Peak rotary vise, it comes in at an angle. So instead of just flipping it over, I'll just take the fly and flip it over instead. All right. And then I'll take the second plume. This is the longer of the 2 marabou plumes. And I'll secure it and start tying in with a loose tie. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and wet the feathers because they're kind of flowing everywhere and getting into everything. So I just kind of want to get it out of the way so I don't accidentally tie into one of those that's hanging on the bottom. All right. Now I'm going to take the other fly or marabou plume, the longer one, and I'll lay it again ahead of the bead chain and start tying it in. And I'll get some secure wraps initially, and then I will trim the excess, and then similar like I did with the bottom plume, I'll start trimming again just to kind of thin out that head portion. If you don't do that, you'll get a really thick head, and you don't really want that. You want more of a more angled silhouette, sort of like the nose of a little minnow or whatnot. Okay, and then like I was saying before, as long as you have your thread laying down or hanging down and you only cut above it, you shouldn't cut your line by accident or your tying thread by accident. All right. Okay. All right, so I'm just kind of snipping away. Okay? And I do this a lot faster, but for this, I kind of just wanted to let you guys see how simple a tie it is as I walk you through this, okay? And what I'll do is I won't use any head cement, super glue, or any other glue to hold it in place. I'll just do 2 sets of whip finishes. Here's a case where I pulled the thread and I ended up breaking it off. So I'm going to retie it back on by just laying some wraps and then laying some overlapping laps over that tag end, and then I'm still back in business. So even though it broke off, I'm still good to go. All right. All right, and here you pretty much just start locking it down, building the nose, and you're pretty much almost done. I'll do a couple of whip finishes. You can use glue, some kind of head cement and whatnot, but I find I really don't need it. And when I'm in a hurry, I can tie this under 5 minutes, under 3 minutes, really, really fast. Get out there and start fishing it. Like the other day in the trip that I took yesterday and hooked into a few of the bass, I had tied those about, well, I'd say about 5-10 minutes beforehand. All right. Oh, yeah. Very simple tie. Okay. All right. And so a couple of whip finishes and I'm good to go. If you have any questions on this or if I need to rewind it, let me know. But that is pretty much it. The damselfly, and this is the one that I was using yesterday, fishing a local pond. All right. Okay, so we got some time. Let me see if I can find that video that that I was talking about. So bear with me. Okay, and it's pretty much the stream that I posted yesterday. Okay, it's coming up. Okay. All right, let's see. Let me do the full size screen. All right. Nice stuff. Okay, let me switch it. Okay. Mobile fishing live stream. And let me throw in a little deal here. Okay. All right, so this is the live stream I did last night. I restreamed. What I do is I'll videotape while I'm out and about, and then I'll stream it later in the evening. And here, what I'm doing is, let's see if I can get this started. Okay, it's starting. Okay, so here I'm setting up, and I'm at the local pond. And the day before, I had tied one damselfly, and unfortunately caught something, and then immediately broke off. And then I decided to come back. There were a couple of big hits. I mean, really good hits where the bass, well, took my fly and threw the hook on me. And then the day before that, I went out with some ultralight bait casting gear, and same held true. I had some really good hits as well. So here, I'm just kind of going back to that spot now that I've got the new and improved damselfly. In this case, I used a wider gap hook that I believe helped me set the hook much more readily than the smaller gapped streamer hooks that I was using. All right. All right. And I'm just going to work my way over and get into the particular spot. Let me see if I can bump it a little bit. 10 seconds. Yeah, we could do 10-second jumps. What I'm trying to do is get you to the spot where I hooked into one. Okay. All right, here we go. All right. In fact, here, let me pause it and let me bring up the audio. Okay. We got a runner. Little better hook set too. I mean, he picked up and started running. Let's see, what is that?
That's a bass. All right. And like I was saying, I'm using a damselfly. It's the one that I lost yesterday, and this time I went with a wider gap hook, right? And it's pretty sharp. I think it's one by MFC. All right. All right. There is bass number one. A little bit windier than it has been compared to some of these other days that we were here, but hey, let's try it again. Okay, what's nice about the damselfly, it rides hook up, or hook bend up, and right there, and a lot of times you'll get that strike right there as he runs on you. All right, okay, this guy's fighting good. All right, maybe this is the one that I lost the other day. Oh, he's a good one. Not the biggest, but hey, still counts. All right, so like I was saying, I was thinking that damselfly was the fly I should have been using yesterday, but unfortunately I ended up losing them. Not failure from yours truly. Okay. All right, so so far 2 for 2. Nice.
Okay, and that was the smaller of one that I caught. Let me see if I can.
All right.
See if I can
Get that one in. Again, here's what it looks like once it gets shore. Fishing it more parallel.
Okay, let me see if I can find
another pond to check it out, but for some reason.
Okay, there's one that's gonna.
Just gonna let the wind drift the fly.
That's bigger. Okay, bear with me. I'm trying to find it. Okay, I switched over the fly, and I believe he started striking after I'd switched over to a second fly. I think it's back over here. All right, let's see.
I'm gonna just drag it slow and see if he'll show. Oh, wait a minute. Snapped off again. Holy cow.
Yeah, that's where I ended up losing the first damselfly that I had tied yesterday.
Actually broke.
Okay.
In a test that I caught and released a bass at Sonic Pond. Okay. In this case, I'm using the length and whatnot. As you can see, it's a bit. You see.
I think this one he's going to strike up close.
All along this area, they were staying fairly close. All right, let's keep going. There's some junk on this one. As you can see, it's a fairly head span or glue. I just went and did a couple of whip.
Okay. What I'm looking for is that one that I believe was the biggest one this round. And it does give you a good idea how I fished it. Okay, let's see.
All right, here's a little muddy spot.
Okay, this is it. Bear with me. What happened is I just finished retying.
Right. Oh, look right there, right in front of me.
The second damselfly that I lost.
Come on. Strike it. You notice it's right in the shadows again.
Should be coming up here short.
It's as if they're purposely staying in the shadowy area. Oh, right there. Nice. All right, Mr. Damselfly comes through again. He's a bigger one too. Maybe one of those ones that I lost the other day. Yeah, he's bigger. Take him over here.
That is the damselfly that I just showed you how to tie.
Yeah, he's bigger. All right, there's a little muddy spot. All right. I gotta kind of get down on the bank here, get into the mud. All right. Just bring him up. 2-pound test. He struck quickly, so I'm hoping I got him in the mouth. Yeah, I got him in the mouth instead of him swallowing it on me. So, oh yeah. All right, this is more like it. This is what I suspected was out here. Some of these bigger guys. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Some of these bigger guys, and like I was saying, you set the hook quickly, you can definitely fight them. Not worry about your 2-pound tippet. Like so. All right. Yeah, so yeah, let's cross our fingers I don't lose that other damselfly. And in fact, I got to go fix the knot on the tag end. I forgot to take it off. Oh, bear with me. I got to climb up the bank. It's a steep bank here. All right, that was fun. And you guys got to see it. All right, you guys can attest that I caught and released a bass at Sonic Pond. Okay. In this case, I'm using that 2-pound mono, or correction, 2-pound fluorocarbon. And it's that one from Trout Mag.
Okay, so that was just a demo of yours truly catching something off the damselfly. Okay, and here's another view of it. This is a view right here. Now, let's give you a better view. Okay, so here it is, right? Little damselfly. There's that hook from Montana Fly Company. There we go. And when you fish it, rides like so, hook bend up, okay? And you can bounce it or drag it along the bottom. And a lot of times the bass just kind of grab it like so. Boom. All right. And because of that water gap hook, you have a better opportunity to hook them in the lip section instead of deeper. So just remember to set the hook fast, because you know you could use them fairly quickly. All right, and I think we got some other folks here. Let me go ahead and just throw up the fly tying demo and see if anyone has any questions. I'll just let it run and see if anyone has anything that may call out, and I'll just keep talking specifically on some of the components. Okay, and I got a little inset in the video, but I'm using this bead chain. It's the same one that you would use if you were, well, you put it on a fan or something and you kind of pull down on it to turn it on and off. It's the same thing. You can go to the fly tying store and pick them up, or you can just go to Home Depot right there. Okay, and all you do is just snap, you take a wire cutter, snip them, and you're good to go. Key thing is I take the width or the length of the two beads that make that eye, lay it over there onto the shank, and then back again. In this case, it has a little bend in that wide gap hook, and so I'm measuring it from there. But basically, it's, I would say, two lengths back from the hook eye, or maybe a length and a half of a bead chain. Okay, and then from there, it just takes some marabou plumes, two marabou plumes, one larger than one smaller than the other. You tie one above the hook shank and above the bead chain, similar to a clouser style tie, and then you'll flip it over and you'll tie in the longer plume on top, and that's it. Do a little whip finish, trim it here and there, but bottom line, this fly just uses two marabou plumes, a wide gap hook, and then a bead chain, as well as some fly tying thread. You can use glue and whatnot, so head cement, but I find you really don't need to. Seems to be working fine just without it. All right, so I'll keep this one running in the background in case anyone has any questions that they want to throw at me. We certainly can. It looks like we got some folks from yesterday. This is ground fog. Yeah, I recall you were here yesterday when we were streaming, restreaming yesterday's trip to the local pond. Just wanted to show folks on how to tie the damselfly that I was using fish the local ponds here recently, and it seems that this seems to be working pretty well. You know. Okay, and while that's going, let's see. Wonder if I can. Oh, it's gonna be tough to see in the inset, but anyways, I'll just recap the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing, some of the things that we discussed there, specifically tips 126 to 130. We went through that. I'll get another episode out here in the next few. It's just been, I've been tending to do more mobile fishing live streams and on the go versus doing the talking head videos, because I find that, hey, it's a lot more fun to go fishing as well as to catch a fish or two. But in this case, I just wanted to answer the mail and show folks this is the fly that I used to catch those bass that I was hooking into on yesterday's restream. All right. And I did have the opportunity to probably catch some bigger ones, but I ended up breaking off. One where my tippet broke and the other one where the line got abraded. So what happens is if you don't hook them on the lip or the jaw area, instead, that bony jaw area, and instead they get deeper in the mouth, it gives the line will rub up against that sandpapery teeth things that they have on largemouth bass. And it doesn't take long, especially if you're using 2-pound tippet, for them to snap your line. And that's how I lost the second of the flies that I had tied. And I tied these about 5 minutes before I went out to go fish in the local pond. But luckily, I've already tied 2 for today. The only question is where do I go fish today? I was thinking about doing some ultralight bait casting. But I really want to see if these damselflies are going to work in some other ponds that are in the area. So, hey, keep that in your back pocket. All right. Okay, and with that, that is pretty much the damselfly tying demo. If anyone has any questions or whatnot. Little impromptu one. I know a lot of folks may not be able to join. But I just wanted to get it documented so it's readily available for those that can need to come back and see what I did when I was using that particular fly fishing that particular stretch of water. All right. In this case, it was a local pond here in the city of Allen, where, well, we had some fun with some bass. All right. So with that, we'll go ahead and close out the stream. Appreciate y'all joining today. And until next time. Catch y'all later, and good luck